Hey, it's Coach Ans from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online. Today we're going to be back again and we're going to be talking about ACT. Remember how important ACT is. It's important so that you can get all that great scholarship money, of course, so that your parents, of course, don't have the economic burden, of course, of putting you through school. And you also have the opportunity, of course, to get into whatever school that you want. And we've talked about the importance of how ACT, the reading section, is one of those sections that you can make some hay if you have the correct strategy. On the last time that we were talking about ACT reading in the last lesson, what we want you to do, of course, is take the ACT test. And once upon finishing the ACT test, what we also wanted you to do, of course, was to debrief and answer those questions, of course, that we posed to you. Today, what we're going to do is look at what we do with those results. So lesson number 12 will be about scoring the ACT reading test. Please pay attention to the things that we're going over here. These things, of course, can be very valuable, and the information that you glean from this particular lesson can be very valuable if you put it to use. The first thing we want to do is look at the answer key. The answer key that we received, of course, for the test form that we had, 2176 CPRE, these were the answer choices. And what we'll do, of course, is we'll go through and look at each individual question and answer for each one of those. So don't worry about going through and writing them down. What we will do, of course, is we'll go through each individual question, tell you what the correct answer was, and what the rationale for that particular question was also. The next thing we want to talk about is converting raw scores to scale scores. ACT utilized the number of correct answers on the reading test to get a raw score. Each correct response is given 1 point. A conversion table is used to determine the scale score, which is the score that is reported to you in your school. Remember what we said. It is very important on ACT, whether it's the reading section or the other sections on the test, that you make sure that you leave no questions unanswered, because you don't get penalized for incorrect answers. You only get you get credit for correct answers. So even if it's a guess, ACT doesn't care. You still, of course, get credit for that particular answer. All right, ACT reading conversion table. And as we said, you have the scale score, which is, of course, what's sent to your school, of course, and sent to you, and then the raw score. What we're going to do is look at one example here. If you were able to make a 36 on ACT, and that was the scale score, that would be the score, of course, that will be sent out to you in your score report and to the school, of course, that you choose to send it to. In addition to that, in order to get a scale score of 36, your raw score, or the number of correct answers that you have to get in the ACT reading section, is 39 to 40. And the same thing over here, if your scale score was 1, you got no questions correct. So you can actually get a 1 on ACT with not even having a correct answer. ACT reading reporting categories. The ACT reading test is scored utilizing 3 reporting categories to capture raw scores or correct answers. They include key ideas and details. In this particular test, we had 23 questions that dealt with key ideas. Craft and structure, we have 12 questions that were dealt with craft and structure. Integration of knowledge and ideas, and we had 5 questions that concentrated in that particular category. The test you have taken has to break down to calculate your raw score. ACT breaks down how many you got correct in each category. The data is significant because it helps you identify the categories you're the strongest and the weakest in answering. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go through a sample score report. We're not going to ever claim this particular score, because after doing all this wonderful work that we're going to be doing, we're not going to make a 20 when it comes to ACT. But we're just going to say this for argument's sake, that this is the score, of course, that test student A took. And key ideas, he got 8 of 23 questions. For craft and structure, the student got 9 of 12 questions. And for integration of knowledge and ideas, he got all 5 of those questions, of course, that were given on that particular form of ACT. All right, this would indicate that the raw score would be 22, because all we have to do is go back and look at that conversion again. We said if the raw score was 22, meaning that you got 22 correct, your scale score, of course, would be 20. So what we're going to do, of course, is in looking at it, when we understand what that means, now we can kind of see what we need to do, of course, to improve our score. So upon looking at it, one of the things that we would find that we can identify what our weaknesses and what our strengths are. Well, when you look at it, the strengths of this particular person was the integration of knowledge and key ideas, and also craft and structure. And the one thing, of course, that he had difficulty with was the key ideas and details. That simply means that they had difficulty in terms of finding, important details in the passages and the main ideas. And that would indicate that those are the areas, of course, that you would need to concentrate your study to improve. All right, we hope you found some of that information that we gave you in terms of what to do with the score report valuable. Remember, every time we take ACT, we should learn or get some information from it. And by doing so, what we can do, of course, is better figure out a way or create a strategy that we can do better when the next test, of course, rolls around. Because remember what we said, when it looks at ACT, one of the areas, of course, that gives you a great opportunity, of course, to get a good score is in the ACT reading. This is Coach Anderson from Mississippi Public Broadcasting Online, and we'll see you next time. And we will talk about a little bit more about what the rationale was for answering those questions. We'll see you next time.